Running it back, episode 70, intro, take one. 3, 2, 1. Today's episode of Running It Back is here. My name is Patrick Ramirez, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This is where I put up all my content, my stand-up comedy, my Sunday Night Talk, football, and life series that's going on right now, and not to mention my Running It Back interview series. This is episode 70. I've done 70 of these. These long-form interviews give me a chance to ask people I know questions that I've always wondered, I've always pondered. Gives me a chance to dive deep into their lives and gives them a chance to open up about their lives to me too. In the comedy world, in the entertainment world, whatever world they're in, and beyond. If you're new to the series, you are going to enjoy this one. On the show today, Mischa Paullin joins me. She's a comedian. She produces, writes, and performs in sketch comedy, which she puts up on her YouTube channel. And she is an associate producer for the Jimmy Dore Show. I think if you're a comedian here in LA, you know her. If you don't, I think you're going to be seeing more and more from her. We had a great interview. We had a great talk. We got to learn about her history, how she came to LA, how she got engaged, and the central hub that is the Flappers Comedy Club. Here is my interview with Mischa Paullin. All right, joining me today on Running It Back is Mischa Paullin. I've known Mischa a long time, and like we all are with like comedians, we never like really get to chat really other than little bits here before comedy shows, after comedy shows. And like I check out your Instagram and like so much is going on with you like in the last year. Like you're doing sketches, you're wearing crazy wigs.
I know, I'm dressing like a man a lot.
You dress like a man a lot. That is true. So I'm glad we like if I finally can ask you all these questions now, as opposed to like at the comedy clubs behind the bar where you used to work.
Right.
You know? So Mischa, you're a comedian. I know you as a comedian, but I'm learning you as like more of a sketch comic recently. But going way back, are you a native Californian?
I say, I'm actually was born in New Jersey, but only there as a baby. So mostly a native
Mm-hmm.
Californian. I feel like I've lived here long enough to say native Californian.
I see. Well, I'm so fascinated by people who grew up here because,
But
I
not
didn't.
not Southern California,
Where is it you're from?
Northern California.
What
A
city are
town,
you from?
Paradise,
Mm.
California. It burned down in 2018.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
yes, I do remember that the wildfire from a few years ago.
Yep.
Your city was burned down? What do you mean it all burned down?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much almost everything burned down. It
Jeez.
Yeah, it's the camp. It was called the campfire.
Uh-huh.
Not because it was a campfire. It was just like the road it began on. This is taking a turn very quickly. Um,
We're coming off hot.
but yeah, the whole town. I mean, they're rebuilding it now. People are
Uh-huh.
rebuilding, but a lot of people had to leave and won't be able to return. But yeah,
Oh,
it was a real deal. It's just
yeah.
family's childhood.
Was that difficult? What was your reactions to this as this is happening? Did you have like friends and family that had to get out of there and evacuate?
Yeah, definitely. And I was obviously here, but
Hmm.
it felt like a family member, like Paradise was like a family
Yeah.
member, and so
Hmm.
watching it, hearing people's videos or watching, videos that people were posting, it was definitely
Hmm.
very sad.
Yeah. What have you been back at all
Yeah,
to
I've been
see
back a
what?
couple times. I
How was
went
that?
The first time it was super eerie because it's a mountain town with pine trees everywhere.
Hmm.
And suddenly you could see through, the houses were burned down, the trees were burned down, and you could suddenly see through to multiple streets and roads.
Mm.
Very weird, very eerie. But then I went back again just a couple months ago for a friend's wedding, and people are rebuilding, so everything's new. So
Oh.
that's nice for the people who were able to do that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and even the trees are starting to look green again, the ones that survived. So
Mm.
um, yeah, no, that was not so eerie. It was actually nice.
Yeah. Oh, I could see the rebuilding aspect of it being some sort of form of therapeutic closure or something in a
Totally.
sense where like, oh, rebuilding, rebirth, everybody's gonna start over again. How big a city is Paradise, California?
Very small. It's definitely a
Oh.
small, I'd call it a town.
Mm.
Um, I don't even know. I mean, the population now, I wouldn't even know. I don't know. Maybe hey Siri, what's the population of Paradise, California? It's 4,700.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah.
it was, wow, that is a small town. That is a town.
But that is post fire. So
Oh, wow.
yes. So there was definitely probably maybe 20,000 before.
Mm-hmm. What was it like growing up there?
Um, it Well, so I had been to so many schools. We moved a lot. And I'd been to so many schools that by the time we get to Paradise, I really don't want to go to school at all. And my mom, and the homeschooling program was full. And so she puts me into this program, which is like I moved there in eighth grade. She finds this
Mm.
this small program for me, and it's connected to a continuation school or I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Maybe it also could be like a alternative school, like where the
Uh-huh.
bad kids go,
Oh,
who
really?
yeah, who have for whatever reason,
Huh.
haven't been doing well in whatever regular school, and so now they're in this other program. I wanted to go to that program because I found out there were like 10 people in it. And so I just like
Huh.
to know as few people as possible just because I'd moved so much. And so then I end up doing that. So it set me up for probably an unusual junior high and high school year.
Yeah.
But
That
other
is unusual. And you only
yeah,
wanted to go there because you wanted to know few people? That sounds very,
yeah,
very weird.
yeah, I
And your
did.
your parents went along with this?
My mom, yeah, she did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
And
you
so
went
otherwise,
so I just can't imagine you in a classroom full of juveniles and delinquents and people who failed the eighth grade.
totally. I know nobody can. I was a good kid. Some of them would do bad things. They would experiment with a drug um that they thought I was too good for, so they wouldn't include me.
Oh.
So like I got left out. I
You
was
got
like
bullied. You couldn't use the drugs.
in between place, you know.
Oh,
Uh
wow.
but otherwise it was a mountain town, so all we had to do all we the only activity we really had was the river. A lot of
Oh,
going to the river,
gotta go to the river. Yeah.
the skate
Go to
park.
the river. I've lived in a few mountain towns myself. College. I used to live in northern Utah as well. And you have the river, but the other one that you have is the dump. You also have the dump that you're like, let's go see what's at the dump, or like, let's go drive out to the dunes. That was another one in my
The dunes
hometown.
sound fun.
Yeah, in West Texas where I grew up. It was like, you ever been to the dunes? I'm like, no. Like, what do you do there? You go to the dunes, man. You check it out. That's another one. Like, if you live in a mountainous town, you have these like little versions of, I wouldn't call it like nice nature, but you find something to like occupy your time. And then once someone has a pickup truck, forget it. Forget it. You can go anywhere. The
Totally.
world is your oyster if someone has a pickup truck.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Four wheeling.
Four wheeling,
Four
yes.
wheeling. Just go
Four.
four wheeling. Just drive off hills that you're not supposed to drive off of.
Right. Yeah, let's go places we shouldn't be. That
Mm-hmm.
was a good one. Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Go to the river, see what you can see there.
Mm-hmm. That's
What
it.
were you
But
like
don't.
as the dump? The dump. I mean, I mean, this maybe says more about me than anything else. Is like me and my friends like, let's go to the dump
Yeah, that's
and
very revealing, Patrick.
find some scraps. We'll make something out of it. And then it just always devolves into like, how can you hit your friend in the ass with the scrap you just got?
Of
at the
course.
dump. Yeah, how can we just hit each other on the head
Mhm.
with stuff we found at the dump? So, what is a young Misha like? What were your interests and what were you into as a kid? Like, what was your childhood like?
Uh, hmm. Well, I don't know that I had many interests. I
Really?
look
What do
back
you mean?
now and I think, gosh, if only was like I was a kid now, I would be like, I would want to play an instrument. I'd maybe
Yeah.
take some tap dance classes. But as a kid, I just well, okay. I it depends on what age, but there was a long period of time where I rode horses, so there's an interest.
Mm,
But when
yeah.
I got to high school, it was just I just how cool can I be? How I don't care what
Really?
kind of.
That surprises me about you.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but there also wasn't a lot to do. So,
Oh,
no.
going to the
Um,
river.
and I mean, I remember having a friend who asked me to go pick berries, and I thought that was just the lamest thing. Like, who I'm picking berries, you know? Or a friend wanting to play a board game. I'd love to play a board game today, but in high school, I was like, I'm not playing a board game.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know why what this why I needed to be cool, but um I seem to need that when I was in high school.
So you wanted to be like with the cool kids? You wanted to like were you up on fashions? What was your mode for being cool?
I think you know, I mean that was definitely the time. By the time I became an adult, I was pretty much already done with drinking. Um
Hmm.
so had plenty of drinking or maybe experimenting with some drugs in high school.
Hmm.
Um, but I think because we just didn't have anything else to do, you just went to the river and you
Yeah.
just had somebody buy you alcohol, and that
Oh
was
yeah.
really cool. You know, it was like just that alone was somehow I was cool.
Uh-huh.
I'm not
And
this isn't I'm hearing myself say this and I'm not proud. It doesn't make me
right.
sound very cool or but I was a child, so
Well, I do think we
not a
all have some version of that, don't you
yeah,
think? Like I would say
totally.
I never wanted to be like the cool kid, but I certainly tried to have friends and I wanted to be like, "Oh, how do we go to such and such?" Like I wanted to ingratiate myself into groups and stuff. And then of course I would scoff at the groups, and be like, "Oh, I'm not a cool kid. I don't care about that." And then of course I would care about that deep down. But
Right.
I think that's a very natural feeling to have is to want to be included in the group. And
Totally.
then yeah, and be like, "Well, how come I don't get to go to the dump on Fridays?"
Right. Well, isn't that like as humans, I remember I don't even know where I heard this or read this, but it's ingrained in us to want to be a part of a group because as soon as you're not a part of that group, you might die. So
Yeah.
you have the safety of the group so that like biologically we want to be accepted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was just trying to survive. Trying to
Yeah.
survive high
Yeah, I
school.
think that's a better way of putting it is like as a teenager, you're learning about yourself in groups and stuff. Like you have to figure out how to survive
Right.
in your social group. Am I a sports person? Am I a cool kid? Am I a druggie? Am I a burnout? You got to figure out where your place is. It takes you a long time too to figure out that you can be in more than one group too, I
For
think.
sure. Yeah, I
You know.
definitely didn't have that figured out in high school.
Yeah, I didn't either. I went to a weird high school. I went to an all boys Catholic school, and the only benefit of this locker room with desks of a school that I went to was that like since there were no girls, I don't think anybody had any cliques in my high school. Everybody kind of hung out with everybody. And there wasn't a lot of like competition like that where like any group of people really bullied or messed with the other group. And I think it was because we didn't have any girls to try to compete for that we just kind of like wrestled each other and everybody was kind of friends like that. I mean, it did stunt all of our social growth for the next 4.5 years, but that was a weird benefit of it, of going to the
Totally.
all boys school, in retrospect
That seems
of
like
it
a
all.
great argument for separating girls and boys in schools.
Yeah, there's some arguments for it. There's some arguments against it. I think I lived in both worlds at some point. But yeah, that was our school was all the groups intermingled for the most part, the sports guys, and we had a lot of like students from Mexico, like with, everybody intermingled, and so all the druggies intermingled. We were a very tight group, Misha.
That's promising. That's like if the world could only take a lesson from your high school days, maybe
Mm,
we'd all have peace. But there would be
wow.
one continent would be women and the other continent would be
That's
men.
true. Yeah, no one would know how to speak to a woman until they're 25 years old.
Yes.
So, yeah, we might have a hard time actually forming relationships.
Right. Or reproducing.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
die out.
It's taken a turn to the personal now at this point.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I see.
So you're in Paradise, California. You're in high school, and then what are the goals post high school? Did you have any? Did you want to go to college? What was your parents? What did your parents do?
So my mom, my dad, my dad spent lots of my life being homeless. So
Really?
yeah, he's didn't necessarily have the most aspirations. But also, he's just an addict who struggled.
Oh, I see.
And so no, he didn't seem too bothered with any of my choices.
Uh
Uh,
huh. Was he around? How much of
he
him was in your life?
came and he went.
I
Um,
see.
so yeah, so we would, when he was doing well, he would be more involved, and then
Mm-hmm.
dip out for periods of a time at a time. So I lived with my mom, who had decided to go back to college later in life and get her bachelor's. So I around that time, I feel like had she not done that, maybe I wouldn't have thought about college, but she was
Mm-hmm.
going through that whole process around that same time. So I did want to go to college, and I did. Um, and and then I wanted to change my major every 6 months, and I did
Yeah.
that too. I spent, I think, 5 years at a junior college,
Oh, really? You can do
constantly
that?
changing my major. I
What were
mean,
some of the majors you had? What were your interests at that time?
psychology. I got into criminology at one point, journalism, um, acting,
Mm-hmm.
and then I finally transferred when I accidentally got a associate's degree just because I had taken so
Oh.
many classes, so many years. And yes, they will let you just keep paying for classes, absolutely. And so then I finally went to the university, well, California State University of Chico, which is right next to Paradise. And I didn't last but a year, and I was like, I'm heading to LA, and this is my big.
Mm. What was the motivation to head to LA? You wanted to act or you want to do something in that
I
world?
Yes, wanted to act. Yeah, yeah.
I see.
I didn't know much about stand-up comedy at all at the time. I thought there were maybe two people who did stand-up comedy. It was Eddie Murphy and maybe Wanda Sykes.
Ah.
I just I didn't know much about that world uh,
Uh,
until actually when I first moved out here. I lived next to Flappers uh,
uh-huh. Yeah, in
before,
Burbank.
yeah, before they started. So I was like right down the block when they opened, and that's how I was introduced to comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm really jumping the gun here. I just took it from high school to all the way
I,
up to Flappers.
well, you want to come here to act. What was your motivation? Like what was your influences to say like, "Oh, I think I could start pursuing that." Did you like movies? Did you like plays? What interest did you have in acting in that capacity?
Yes, definitely movies and plays. And my brother and my mom thought I was funny, and I didn't want to
Mhm.
have anything to do with comedic acting at the time. I just wanted to be a very theatrical actor, and
Oh,
you know,
really? You
yeah.
had like a flair for were you like in school plays? Well, did you act at all as a kid or perform in
Um,
any way?
no, I mean, maybe putting on some shows for
Mm-hmm.
family members, that kind of thing. But no,
Oh,
there was
okay.
no theater in the school I went to. The bad kids were not interested in theater.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you only had 10 kids.
Right. And by those 10 kids, we ended up joining the bad kids high school. So there was more
Ah.
kids at the high school, but still no programs like that.
I can't believe you made it out of this alive. Like I think of you of like sweet little Misha. I'm like, they're gonna eat you alive.
I know. I know there's definitely something that I think it's my face.
Hmm.
My face gives off a kindness, and I
Yeah,
I am a kind person.
I'd
Uh,
agree. Yeah, that's true.
but yes, I definitely most people are surprised that I went to the bad kids high school.
And just because of the sole reason you don't want to meet a lot of kids.
I know. And then by that time, the principal, by the way, tried to kick me out regularly. And I'd be like, you can't kick
Really?
me out because I'm a good kid. Like that's you can't.
Yeah. What was the reason for that? You're the only reason that school is hanging on.
Totally. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he wanted the best for me, I think, genuinely. He's
Oh,
like,
like in a good way, like you need to
yeah,
go to the regular school and meet other nine children.
right. Yeah, you need to go
Oh,
and maybe join the theater program or whatever,
I
take,
see.
take advantage of other things. But by then I had formed bonds with, you know, the druggies and I didn't want to leave. So,
I see.
mhm.
And what were like some influences in the acting world where you said, was there a movie you saw or an actor or actress you saw that you were like, that's what I want to strive for? Was there something specific like that?
Well, maybe two things. The Lord of the Rings, for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was sort of this like I remember feeling depressed after every Lord of the Rings movie and knowing that I would never be an elf. Um,
You
but
wanted to be an elf.
I wanted so bad to be an elf. And it was like, well, that's one thing that's the closest you could get to being an elf would be to play an elf in a movie. And then I sort of found that um, over and over again in different movies. Or I think I would watch a movie and I would want to be whatever, I watch Blood Diamond. I want to be a journalist
Mm.
because of the journalist that's
Oh yeah, I like that movie.
yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio's weird South African accent.
I heard these firefighters talking about his awful South African accent. I overheard this conversation not that long ago. Just they were eating at the table next to us, and I don't remember his South African accent being bad. Was it
Really?
South
I don't know
African?
enough about the accent to know if it's bad or good.
Me
I just think
neither.
it sounds funny coming out of his
Oh,
mouth.
sure.
It's like, oh, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Why does he talk like that? That sounds funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Why,
Okay. So what?
why does he keep saying brew? He keeps calling everybody brew. I guess that's what they say there.
Oh God, that was a good movie. What was the
It was like under the radar, good movie too. Like I
totally?
think it's somewhere in between Titanic and The Departed. So maybe it got skipped in the mix of all the movies out there. Someone should do a supercut of the DiCaprio accents he's done in all the movies because you could do that one. You could do his weird Departed Boston accent in there. You could do the Romeo and Juliet, him doing Shakespeare voice as well. I'd
Right.
watch that. I'd watch an
Oh, for
18
sure.
minute
18
compilation
minutes.
of that.
Yeah, I'd watch it too. He was my favorite actor at one point. So yeah, I would watch that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think I aged out of Lord of the Rings because I hear Lord of the Rings and it's so huge to so many people. And I don't know what the hell Lord of the Rings is about. I know Sean Astin is in it, who was Rudy, and that's all I know. That's all I
Oh,
know.
you never watched it?
I've seen one or two of them. I have a brother who's
Okay.
10 years younger than me. So he was into it. So we saw the movies at the theater. But I never got it at all. And a friend of mine was like, you know what? I'm going to catch up on Lord of the Rings and just rewatch them. I'm like, why? What, how much time are these things? And like they would read the books as well. Is there something to the Lord of the Rings I don't know? What's the drive that people like about that?
Um, well, I tried to read the books and I like reading, but the books will go into these like pages of song that
Hmm.
you don't see in the movie. And I don't know how people like that got old. Like the hobbits just start
Yeah.
singing 3 pages. Um, so I didn't do the books, but I I think I've heard that there are some people who look at those books as like like religious texts or something,
Yes. Yes.
and that of course I don't it's a fun fantasy to have, but I don't believe that. But overall,
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's just don't so many of us want to be some sort of magical beast, or
Hmm. Okay.
have some sort of magical powers or
Yeah.
something other than human.
Yeah. And I think definitely I shouldn't judge because I definitely obsess over the movies that nobody seems to like other than 8 people in the world. Like, you know what's a good movie? Is Necessary Roughness, where the guy goes back to college to play football. And I can obsess over like silly, ridiculous movies too. So I shouldn't be so quick. But also I do know this got me in an argument with a girl I went on 2 dates with. I got Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings confused, and I got them mixed up, and she was not happy about this revelation that I did not have the information at the fingertips that those are two different movies.
Wow.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I only made it 2 dates.
Yeah.
That
Well,
might have
I
been a major reason.
understand.
It was a deal breaker. I gotta. She stuck to her integral morals on that one. She's like, nope, beat it.
Harry Potter, I will say, I think the books are way better than the movies.
Oh, is that
Whereas
right?
to me, Lord of the Rings, I couldn't get through the books, but the movies were great.
Uh huh. Oh,
Just if
I
you ever
see. Okay.
decide to delve deeper into either one of
Interesting.
those not trilogies, aren't they more than that? What is that?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
What is the
There could
word?
be 16 of them. There could be two
Yeah.
of them. I have no idea.
There's like 5, 6
Mm.
Harry Potter books or something.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and then like the Harry Potter was a big deal because they were like young kid actors and stuff, and they grew up. So I kind of remember that a little bit of it. But other than that, I was a blank face on this second date. I had no idea what was going on.
Shame, 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 shame.
Where does the comedy part start for you? Because you wanted to act and be in serious stuff. Comedy must have been in
Yeah.
your head somewhere.
It was because like I said, my family thought I was funny, or like I used to love um um uh, the holy, what is it? The Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So then,
Uh huh.
always saying those lines to family members. So they thought, "Oh, you're so funny. You could say those
Uh
lines."
huh. Yeah,
You know how your family encourages you to do things you shouldn't.
that's
Not all
true.
cases, actually, just mine. But so then moving here, I I became friends with a group of girls who were in a sketch group. So that opened my mind to that being a possibility. I had no idea that you would even form a group and make videos of yourselves being funny.
Uh huh.
And then, like I said, I moved right next to Flappers Comedy Club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
that's where I met you. Is you were the bartender there.
yeah, so I started working there, and then obviously I was surrounded by comedy, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and quickly was realized that that was the direction I wanted to go instead.
Yeah, it is a natural step I think for most performative people because there's no production involved whatsoever. You go up and you speak. And other than a captive audience, that's really all you need. Like for to act or form a sketch, or you need to get the friends, you need to write something. Stand up, you
Right.
don't need anything. So it's the easiest thing in the world to start. It's the hardest thing in the world to, I think, become good at or master.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, yeah, a natural step for most people. Some people take to it, some don't. But it seems like for someone who wants to perform or speak their mind, it's a very natural step for you. Did you like it right away?
Ah, right away, absolutely. I was one of those people who did well my first couple of shows, to where
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I was invincible, and I like, oh, like I had some, God gave me this incredible gift for stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I had two very supportive crowds my first couple of shows. Um, I did, however, talk about, I had a when I had left Paradise, I was working at before I left Paradise, I was working at an animal hospital, and in my set, I named one of the clients and did a whole
Mm-hmm.
act out of the client. And then I posted that video. So then people from Paradise, including the animal hospital, were reaching out and saying, yeah, you can't do that. You have to please
Oh,
take it down immediately. That's private information.
wow. Early cancellation for
Yes, I
Mischa.
got canceled early. But aside from that, I felt like those sets went really well. Um, but I was too scared. I was always worried about doing the same material twice. I
Hmm.
and I was often scared of doing mics, so I would take classes at Flappers,
Hmm.
which I know a lot of people, it seems like such a controversial topic, whether you can
Comic class. Yeah, you're
comic
right.
class.
Yeah, you will get
Yeah,
a lot of opinions on it. That's true.
right. But overall, I think it's it's like a writers group where you get to stand up on stage in front of a microphone for 20 minutes.
Hmm.
It was definitely a positive experience for me. I don't know. Actually, I would have done an open mic eventually. But it made getting into stand up a lot easier for me. And then I started doing more mics and realizing I was not I was not that funny. And
Oh,
it went from this like early peak right away of like the first, I think I
yeah.
said the first two shows, was like the first three shows out the gate were just always supportive.
Yeah.
And then I started getting out of Flappers, out of those student showcase shows, and realizing
Yes.
it was way harder, and much more painful.
I think you said it. It's almost like a boot camp. There's no real comedy path anymore. You just try and go and
Right.
you just try your best. There's no club system anymore where you go to the club and eventually they give you little spots and little spots turn into medium spots. And so I mean that system does not exist anymore. So at some point you're like, what's my plan? How do I go from A to B? It's a totally different world with internet, and there's just I mean it's we're so saturated here with people wanting to perform. There's very little stage time to be had, and you go to these mics and everybody sitting in the chair. I mean all the other comics are thinking exactly what you're thinking. Like, I can't wait to not be on shows with these bums. And you're like, well, can anybody listen to me for 3 minutes? And it is really, really hard. I've seen people crack. I've seen people do well with it. I've seen people do somewhere in the middle with it. I've seen people get mad on the way out. I've been that guy myself, of
Yeah.
course. I would I was going, there was a while back where the Hollywood Improv would have a late night Sunday mic. And it started like at 11, Mischa, 11 p.m. on Sunday. And my thought was, oh, well, probably not a lot of people will show up to this. I'll go to this one. Boy, was I wrong about that. And it would go to like 1 a.m. and I would sit down and it'd be 20 minutes in and I would say, like, I'm going to leave. I'm just going to get out of here. I'm just going to leave. And I'm like, you drove all the way over here and now you want to leave? All right, make it till 12. And I would bribe myself. I was like, all right, if you make it till midnight, you can get drive through on the way home. And I would bribe myself to stay till at least midnight because I was like, what is this is supposed to be fun, right? It's really, really hard to put your mindset away. Maybe this is the artist mindset, but it's really, really hard to actually do any art. It's, to find the venue, to find the medium, and to actually do good art. That's the other part is you're hoping you're good and maybe it's not. And you try and try and try. What's your mindset with stand up now? Do you still enjoy it? Do you try and get up as much as possible? How do you plan it all out?
I have such a hard time uh,
Yeah.
disciplining myself with stand up. I it's nice to hear you express your struggle with it, because sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one that, if is everybody at this mic right now? Do they want to be here? Because
Yeah.
they're doing it. I know I don't want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it I'm also not even a nighttime person, so it sort of goes against my nature completely. But then I'll get up and I'll have fun.
Yeah.
And I leave, and you feel great when well, maybe you don't always feel great when you're leaving. I actually,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
other night,
that's true. It can be
right?
50-50. Yeah.
The other night, I felt good getting off stage. Did not have well written material at all. Just wrote some stuff. Was like, hey, you're gonna take this risk. This audience may not like this particular material
Mm.
in the content of it, but you're just gonna take a risk. Who cares? And I did it, and I got off stage feeling good, just because, like, of course,
Uh-huh.
no, I didn't have any well-written jokes, but I did the thing I wanted to do, and I set out to do, and I did that. And then a comic after me talks a little shit about some
Mm.
of the things I said, and suddenly,
Oh, really? About what you
offended.
said to
Yeah,
you, or you overheard this?
no, on stage to me. Um,
Oh, weird.
yeah. So then, but he's probably just whatever, living in his moment and calling
Mhm.
stuff out, whatever. But then suddenly my feel good now changed. So
Yeah.
it's such a ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who this comic? Did they know you? Was this just someone you
No,
know?
no,
Oh,
no,
wow.
no.
What a heart.
I'll tell you after.
Wow. I want to know now. I'll interview him next.
Yes, yeah, interview him.
That's a weird one when the one comic throws a jab at the previous comic who they may not necessarily even know. I could almost let it slide if they came up to you afterwards and say like, "Hey, I was just making a joke," or some sort of olive branch of it. But that is
Right.
a weird one. I would feel bad about that too. I've had that happen as well, where you make the little joke, you take the little leap, and this comic was yelling at me like 40 minutes later. So I don't know that the audience knew she was yelling at what I said. And I was like, but you didn't, like, I'm running it in my head like, but I was making fun of myself. No, what was that? What was that chick talking about? And then I get all mad too.
Right. Yeah. So she held on to it for 40 minutes, came after you
Yeah,
on stage. Yeah. Yeah. I
it
don't,
wasn't even funny.
that's the other thing, is it
I'm
wasn't
a
even
nice guy.
fun. Yeah. Right.
Strange. That's a tough one. That it is. It almost feels like at a lot of the open mics, you're trying so hard to get your stuff up there. You're also trying to make friends and have a little community of comics. It feels like the first day of school all over again. You're like, oh, I know this person from the internet, but I don't really know them. And this person's, once you find that one or two people that at least you can sit with someone at these long, long shows, that will make it tolerable. Like, all right, let's just sit at the same table and we'll be in this together so I can
That's
get
true.
McDonald's on the way home.
Right. Your little reward.
I had to bribe myself, Misha. I was like, all right, you can get McDonald's.
I get it.
I'm gonna get the McDouble and I'm gonna get a small fry and that'll I can eat it on the way home in my car. Also, you become good at eating at your car when you in your car when you go to these mics. You tend to get food on the way home a lot of times.
See, I don't do that. Thank goodness.
Oh, you don't, huh?
Don't. I
Well,
don't.
you're
I
more
don't.
disciplined than you think.
Maybe I am. I need a different reward. I don't know that fast food will work for me. Maybe like I should reward myself with like a pair of jeans. Like if you go do
Oh, okay.
stay at this mic, you're allowed to buy yourself a pair of jeans. But see, now
Hmm.
that's a very expensive reward.
Right, right. And you got to wait till like the next day to get it too.
Right.
Mine was very immediate gluttony. I was like,
Gratification.
I'll get it. Yeah, I'm going to get this in 7 minutes. That'll be nice.
I'll find something in between fast food and jeans, and then hopefully
Okay.
it'll help me be more disciplined with doing more mics.
I interviewed, do you know Betsy Cox? Do you know the comedian Betsy Cox?
Um,
She's
I know the name.
she's been around a
Been out the
bunch.
world, I think, around a while.
Yeah, and she would bribe herself with Taco Bell. But Betsy is vegan, so she had this very intricate menu of Taco Bell things that she would get. And now I'll text her every time I'm at a Taco Bell and I'll write like, what should I get? And she'll have the order for me ready to go.
You could
I'm not
basically
even vegan. I just want to know what she has to say.
beans and what tomatoes and rice.
Yeah, she had a bean thing. She had some sort of version of the Mexican pizza they have there. Just a lot of thought has gone into the bribing of food.
I get that. I was
Mhm.
vegan for a long time. I remember the
Mhm.
yeah the
Was it
menu.
hard? It just seems like such a hard life.
Once you well not I mean in LA a lot of things are hard in LA, but finding vegan food not so hard. Um,
True.
so luckily doing it in LA works, but uh you know I was vegan for like 8 years, and um, we don't need to get into the details, but it definitely messed up my stomach for a while.
Oh, so it had a negative impact on you.
Yes, which
Well,
is ultimately why I stopped.
yeah, I don't think you're alone on that. I think a
I don't
lot of
think so. I've
people's,
heard that
yeah,
too. Yeah, I ended up starting to hear more and more of that, which led me to start implementing a little dairy and a little fish. And so I've actually that's really helped me. But yeah, I like I cried and cried when I was facing this. Might have to complete because I identified with it. It was like I don't know how to
Oh,
be a
really? How long ago was this? I don't remember you being very hard vegan of a person.
Oh, well, I was vegan up until probably like a year ago.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know this.
Yeah.
And you switched over and you've had some benefit of it, but it was a struggle. You didn't want to leave the vegan community.
Right. Yeah, I didn't. And there's
Ah,
even today, now I'm saying it publicly, but even today I hope I don't see that like vegan person that I used to see at such and such place and she's
right.
eating something not vegan.
Oh no. Yeah,
Very
that's true. Yeah, what if you're eating something non-vegan? They're like, "Misha, what's going on here?" And you
I know.
have to answer to that. You're like, "It's my stomach."
I dread the day. I hope it doesn't.
Oh no.
I
Well,
never.
I'm glad your stomach isn't messed up though. Like
Me too.
this is almost a health decision. Were you vegan because of what was your decision?
For animals.
Animals.
Yeah.
Okay. And you would eat according to, was there anything on your list that you could or could not in the animal world? Like cheese was out,
Cheese was out. Every and
dairy was
like
out.
honey was out. Every
Oh, honey, I forget. Yeah, I knew some vegans that were very had a lot of honey thoughts.
I definitely I was pretty strict. Like, there's a lot of things with it's just like I know I can't think of the word, but there's this certain something or other that like this beetle is used to make, and like I wouldn't
Hmm.
I wouldn't use that. Like
Wow. It just seems like such an exhausting life of so much label reading
yeah, a lot of label reading
and
and a lot of the stuff you don't even realize that has
hmm
you have to do quite a bit of research to
yeah.
find that it's hiding in everything.
Where are vegans on eggs?
No
Because
egg.
no eggs. But like is there debate on it since an egg doesn't turn into a chicken?
I think there is a debate. So I
So,
do think some people who only eat eggs, it's like an ovutarian or something like that. I forgot
mhm.
the word. Um, but I think the argument for eggs is that even though they don't have to kill a chicken to make the egg, um, those chickens will only lay eggs for so long in their lives, and then they'll probably just be when they're done with
Oh,
their egg laying days.
oh, I see. Gotcha. See, this is such
And
hard work.
and the chickens in many cases are like, stuffed together
Oh,
and
gotcha. So yeah,
treated terribly through the process. So
so that would be no dice on eggs.
there's a woman who lives a couple blocks away who sells eggs. And
Hmm.
I often will get eggs from her and I feel completely good about it. And I hope one day she doesn't just kill all her chickens when they're done laying eggs. Um, but I tell myself she won't do that.
Right, right. Well, you are fresh into the non-vegan world, so you got to give yourself some time to see. Maybe the chickens are, think of the chickens as providing nourishment for you.
I do, and I
They're
thank them.
helping you.
I thank them
Right.
with every egg I eat.
Yeah. I mean, I was never into hunting, but I have a lot of friends who are avid hunters. And to hear them explain it in the way of like the nature, the animal, the earth provides something for you, and you're I don't know how they would word it, but you are in pursuit of this animal. Otherwise that would be roaming free and stuff, and eventually die of old age or I mean starvation or something. It's a very harsh world in the wild, and they would just see this as this circle of life. And I always grew up as hunters were guys who had American flags on their trucks, you know, and they would talk about that there are ethics to hunting and there's such a thing as a good hunter, a bad hunter, and things like that. So I see both sides of it now where there is a way to exist in the world, but it is I'm with you because it's very hard to put your head around the mindset of in order to live, something often dies. And it's very it's very hard to think of a world like that.
Right.
We're like always, but it is kind of true. That is the circle of
Yeah.
life in
Yeah.
some way. It's an interesting world. So you're on to fish, you're on to some eggs. What else?
And cheese. Well, so I've been
Cheese.
ordering
Oh yeah, that'd be the first thing I would get.
that
Cheese.
was that well, yeah, yogurt was the first thing, which was
Mm.
super helpful for my gut health. Um,
Hmm.
but there's this farm, it's called the Family Cow. They're in Pennsylvania. Yeah, Pennsylvania. You can go on, you can order from them, and they're like, I don't know what they are. They're like Mennonites or something.
Hmm.
They look they just look religious in their photos. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
all the women are wearing dresses. So
Maybe
you
some
can
bonnets in there.
yes. Oh, there's some bonnets for sure. Yeah. Um and so I've been ordering like once a month from them. I'm sure it's not great for the environment to ship it all the way from Pennsylvania to here, but
Right. Now you get into the shipping of it. That's true
yeah.
too. You can go
Um
down a rabbit hole there.
but it works for me. I feel like hey, these people are they are actually like you were saying with those hunters, these people are actually more connected to the earth
Yeah.
and to these animals and to the treatment of them. And I actually, when it comes to hunting, I'm sure there are bad hunters.
Hmm.
I used to know a guy who his preferred way of hunting was like a bow and arrow, and I'm like,
Hmm.
why does it gotta like I feel like a gun is gonna be faster and more, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know anything about bow and arrows, but
Yeah.
I'd rather be shot with a gun than a bow
Yeah,
and arrow.
that's a good question. Yeah, I've known hunters who do both, and they could probably explain it
Maybe
as to why one would choose one over the other. Yeah, yeah,
like if
bow
you're gonna
hunting
be
is a
shot,
thing.
would you want to be shot with a gun or a bow and arrow?
Oh, I don't know. Well, definitely take me to the dump. Step one.
Right. And then you'll be in your happy place. So,
That's where I know I need to be is the dump.
right.
Yeah, drive me in my friend's pickup truck and just like let me go into the wild. And then once I get 20 paces, just go ahead, just end it for old Pat Ramirez.
Right.
And then I'll get drive through on the way home.
and there it is. Just uh, if I think if most people, I feel like most people are not at all connected to their food, and hunters, I actually have more respect for. I'm not going to be hunting. You're not going to be seeing me hunting.
Yeah.
Um, but I get it. I don't jump to judgments about hunting. I think that's that animal probably has it much better than all of the agriculture.
Hmm.
So
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I've never hunted either. I one day I kind of want to force myself to experience it to see how difficult it is or something, but I'm with you. I don't know if I could do it. I would get a little too scared at the end. And then that being said, you're talking to a guy who eats countless drive-throughs. I've been on them. So
right.
it's a little bit of a skewed mindset on my part, but I think I should try and experience it to at least know how this could work. And it's better for you. It's better to eat wild game and grass fed and all that stuff anyway.
I like how this conversation, for me, the newly non-vegan person, is all about just shooting animals.
Shooting animals.
This is just turning into sort of my nightmare.
It is difficult. I am with you. I don't think I could do it. I know it's a necessary thing, but yeah, it is very hard. If you grew up in it, I think that would be a different mindset if you
Sure.
knew that this was part of life. I did not. So I'm like, why you gotta kill him? But then
Mhm.
again, like I know that it would be a good meal and it would provide and all that stuff. But I'm like, oh, do it over there. I'll be over
I
here.
had venison once when I was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my uncle, the car in front of him hit a deer.
Oh,
So then he pulled over, picked up the deer, and brought it home, and we ate venison for a while,
mm.
a very
How
long
was
time.
that as a kid though?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I thought it was tasty,
Hmm.
and I definitely didn't have any qualms with eating it. For one, like
Yeah, not at the
it
time.
was roadkill.
Oh, that's true too.
You know, it takes a special individual, I think, to pick up roadkill and bring it home for dinner. But
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, if it's just gonna sit there, that's no good either.
totally, no, I think I think he did the right thing.
Yeah,
but
that's true. That's
but
true. Give
but
him the
it's
benefit of
weird.
the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I want to know about something else. Your husband is also a comedian too. I rarely see well, what I see is like good couples in comedy that seem to be very in tune with each other, both very funny, both very creative. Your husband Lance, where did you meet?
Flappers.
At Flappers as well, huh?
Flappers. Yep.
He
I
was
feel like
performing there? What was going on
yeah.
there?
Yep. He was performing there. I don't remember our first meets, our first exchanges there, but he does. And I was rude
Hmm.
to him
You were
because
rude to him? What happened?
because he would order waters and the
No.
comedy club server or bartender's real
Hmm.
bugaboo is the comics who constantly order water and never tip. So that was
Oh
my
no, he ordered water and didn't tip?
yeah, because he was he's broke.
Hmm.
I of course I understand, but the service staff, they don't they can only handle so much. So yes, I
Yeah.
was rude to him, and I don't quite remember that. And then he would just he frequented and did the mics for so long that then we did start to talk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
He
how it all
actually he ordered a Diet Coke.
he probably eventually ordered something.
Hmm.
No, he specifically that we had this conversation where he had asked me how I was, and I told him I was working too much, and I wasn't, and so I was not happy. So the next time I saw him, he said, "Hey, I talked to the manager about cutting your hours, and he's gonna take care of that for you." So then the next time I saw him, I said, "Hey, he cut my hours and I can't pay my rent. Thanks." But and then
Wow.
yes, and then Lance. Now this is the fourth back and forth. He wrote me a check for $10,000, but he designed it. He made it as a piece of art, and of
Hmm.
course it had his phone number and everything on there. And I didn't pick up on that.
Oh my God.
So like in the the information section, like, I didn't take the bait. And I had a boyfriend at the time. I should probably
Okay, I was gonna say,
confess
did
that.
you know
Uh,
he was trying to gauge your interest at the time? Did you know that's what he was doing, or you were oblivious?
Not at that point.
Hmm.
At that point, I was oblivious. But then I did start catching on, and I wasn't really into that boyfriend I had at the time anyway. So I just
Hmm.
got rid of him
Got it.
and eventually started seeing Lane. Yeah,
Hmm.
I quit Flappers. There would be periods of time where I would stop working at Flappers for a different job. So sometimes it was like a production job. So the first time it was a production job, and when I came back, Lance and I started to see each other.
Oh, I see. And you
So and then it was,
and you
you
you saw
then
his
we lived
comedy, you
happily ever
liked it.
after.
Yeah. Well, you saw him perform and
I
you liked
did.
it because sometimes
Yeah.
that can be a tough one for the spouse to see the other person's comedy and then continue dating and stuff like that. I've seen that. So you liked it. It's a good window into the person's personality too. You get to see what they wrote and get to see them perform it. And it worked out.
Yeah,
And you guys
totally.
are,
Uh,
yeah, and you guys are a good couple together.
yeah, we are. I definitely lucked out in that way because not a lot of people do.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, definitely not in the comedy world and just in the artist world in general. Those are two big personalities. I think, when you have two artists and it is hard to gauge each other's like people are up, people are down, people want to express themselves. I see it now that how hard it is to be involved with someone who is a performer. And in two performers, oh my God, I don't know how you do that.
I get it. I've heard so many times people say, "Oh, I would never date a comic. I'd never date an actor." You
Right.
hear those things,
Yeah.
and I guess I get it. But also, I don't know. It's a little it's a little shallow, no, for someone who is a
You're right.
performer to be like, "I'm not dating a performer."
Right. Because no one
But I
would ever
understand.
say,
I get it.
yeah, no one would ever say like, oh, I would never date a CPA. No, I would never date someone who works at Hertz Rent a Car. Like you don't hear that version of it. You just hear like, I'm
Right.
not gonna date comics. So it is a shallow thing. You take the time, get to know the comic, I say, and then dump
Yeah,
them.
I say too. And
Yeah.
exactly.
When did it come? This is where I got more interested in talking to you. When did it come that you started to work at the Jimmy Dore show? That's a show I always would watch and listen to, and I would hear him on other podcasts and stuff. I always liked him because he had this nuanced approach and had lots of new ideas floating around. And I will say, about 7 minutes in, all the information starts to go over my head. I don't understand all of it, but I feel like if I absorb enough, I'll get a little bit of info in my head and be better for it. How did that relationship start?
Well, again, Flappers.
Hey, Flappers
Everything
again.
in my LA life starts at Flappers.
Wow, it's the hub.
Um, yeah. Well, I was there for a decade, so off
Hmm.
and on.
Right.
So definitely met a lot of like most of the connections are coming from Flappers. But so I got to know them a little bit just from their performances there. And I say them, I mean both Jimmy and his wife, Steph.
Hmm.
And then came COVID, and uh, I didn't, Flappers was shut down anyway. They were doing limited things. They were
Hmm.
delivering food to seniors, and they, at one point I think they kind of tried to make a store out of
Oh
their walk-in.
yeah, I do remember
So
that. Yeah, yeah. They were like this Uber Eats of
yeah.
of Burbank. I ordered some food from them a couple times.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, Will brought
I
it to
think I
my
ran
car. I was like, I'll go get it, Will. He's like, here you go.
into one. Yeah, they were definitely trying to survive, but I didn't want to survive with them. I I didn't want to keep working there once the pandemic came about, because my mom also died right before it started,
Yeah, I
and I just
remember
wanted
that.
like a brand new everything. So I kind of had already decided whenever they opened, I wasn't going to go back. Um, and yeah, just, and I don't even know how to explain that. Just, I wanted like just new. I just wanted things to be new.
Hmm.
Um, but I started I started just helping them out a little bit during that time, and doing, in those days, Jimmy was he, now he's wise, or he's
Hmm.
learned a lot about the vaccine and all of that, and
Hmm.
but at the time he was very scared of COVID, and so I would go, everything was shut down, right? So I would just go pick up stuff for them. So it
Uh-huh.
kind of just became like it's funny, I'm watching what I say, even though I'm not saying anything. Everything I'm saying is
Yeah,
okay.
you are very, very guarded. And when
I
when I tried to get you to do this, at first you were like, I don't know about podcasts. I don't know what I might say. Why the apprehension? Why are you a little
well,
careful in your words?
on this particular topic, I just don't want to give any information away that I'm not supposed to. But there's no reason that it's anything for me to hide, that I would help them go get some groceries or whatever they wanted, because they were paying me. So,
I see.
but they were afraid of COVID at the time and didn't want to go out and be surrounded by people in the grocery stores.
Okay.
So I started there, and then just over time developed a friendship with them, or a working relationship with them, and sort of just kind of got promotion
Hmm.
until ended up working on the show, and sort of ended up going from grocery uh, trip to
Hmm.
dog sitting, to being an assistant, to an executive assistant, to a producer on the show. So it just
Yes.
um, evolved from there, which was a total blessing. It came out of kind of out of nowhere. It came out of
Yeah.
one of the owners of Flappers referring me, and it was such a gift. It was
Yeah.
pretty incredible.
Wow. You owe so much to Flappers.
I do.
Husband, employment, and
I
you
really
worked there a long
do.
time. You contribute a
Yeah.
lot to Flappers too. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, Flappers, it's definitely, it's a huge part of my life. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's sort of become like for all of us on this side of the mountain in the valley side. It kind of comedy starts and ends there. You're like, oh, can I go here at 6 p.m.? Okay, I can come back at 9. It is a place where when you first come here, I mean, that's where you have to go because they will give you a little bump. They will give you a little
Yeah.
start to where all the other places, like there's no path whatsoever. It's just show up and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You
Unless you're
know,
established. Yeah. Good luck.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go get in line. What were you at your little city? I'm this guy. There's your line over there. Oh, you're this guy? All right, you get in line over there. So, flappers, you will get a chance to perform, which is I'm a big step initially is just the chance to perform. Whereas all the other places you sit and wait for drive-through.
Right.
The other ones. Yeah, I see you on there on the Jimmy George show, and you are putting up these sketches, but it's in the line of like the Jimmy Dore umbrella, but it is you. It is uniquely you. You write them, I assume, and perform them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that they have this branch of like this is someone who is part of our show, and here's their projects, here's their skits, here's their offerings to it. And it's nice. Every time one goes up, it's really funny. You hit it with that. I like it. And I can tell it's your personality coming through it. So I think it's cool. I like the one where you have a mustache on. Like you said, you're very good at dressing as men.
I like to dress as a man. I really like adding facial hair to my face. I get it, it really gives you a sense of empowerment.
Interesting. Oh, okay. You get some personal growth going here. You can be a man and do
There's
sketches.
something about having a bit of a huskier voice. It really,
Oh yeah. I think it works for you because you are a very like petite girl. So you're dressed as this man and you're like small. It works in the comedic world, I think. You get
yeah,
into it. You're like, yes,
thank
I'm
you. I
with it.
very much appreciate it.
Yeah, well, your YouTube channel has lots of subscribers, lots of views. So I mean, like you have to keep doing it. It'll grow and grow from there.
Yeah, I've been again, the a lot of those subscribers are thanks to Jimmy and the show, and then thanks to Flappers for
Hmm.
for introducing me. So it's all
Yeah.
been one thing leading to another.
Yeah, I see that. I think that's how it works these days on the online world and internet is somebody you already like says, "Hey, this is something that's funny." And
Yeah,
someone says, "Oh, let me see that. This is something I like. Maybe I'll like this too." And you just discover people that way. It's become a new world order and how you find things. I don't remember the last time anyone said, "Have you seen this show on Comedy Central? Have you seen this show on MTV?" You do not hear that anymore.
kidding.
It
Right.
is it did you watch this thing on YouTube? Did you watch this short on Instagram? It is totally changed. So no more of the days of you just flip channels and you find something. You find it in a different way now.
Yeah.
Well, Misha, I want to end my interview with the movie game that I end all my
Okay,
interviews with,
let's do
and I have
it.
a special theme for you. I noticed, you have a lot of you do a lot of costuming. Like
Mhm.
we said, you dress as a man, but the most underrated thing I think about your videos is your use of wigs. I
Yeah.
like your Hillary Clinton wig is very good. I think it could double. Also, like if you ever do a Martha Stewart something, you have the same wig for that.
I like that.
So I like your wigs. So the way the movie game works is I'm gonna read you a description, and when you think you know the movie, you yell it out. And we're going to put these two movies together and you're going to try and guess which one has the higher Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah. Okay.
All
Oh
right.
gosh. Okay. I hope I can guess these movies.
All right. And your theme for these movies is movies in which wigs are very present in these movies.
Okay.
Okay. So remember the theme. I got three matchups for you. So here's the first description. Yell it out when you think you know it. What was once North America, the capital maintains a hold on its 12 districts by forcing them to select a boy and a girl to compete in a nationally televised event. One contestant must only rely on
Hunger
their
Games.
hunting. From 2012, the movie is The Hunger Games. You
Yes.
got it. You're
Okay.
on the board. All right.
Ding 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 ding.
Okay. We have never had a perfect score in this game. However, we have had a zero score on this game where Christina Marie Leonard got nothing right in
Okay.
this game. Okay, here's your
I've already beat Christina.
You beat Christina, yes. All right, here's your next description. A wealthy businessman picks up a hooker on a lark. The two become surprisingly close and discover that there are significant hurdles to overcome as
Pretty
they
Woman.
try. From 1990, the movie is Pretty Woman. You got it.
Yeah.
Lots of wigs in both these movies. So, your matchup is The Hunger Games versus Pretty Woman. Which one has the higher Rotten Tomatoes score?
Oh. Um, well, I hope it's Pretty Woman. So
Okay.
I'm gonna say Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman. Okay. All right. Hunger Games is 84%.
Hmm.
Pretty Woman 65%.
Oh,
You know what? You went with your heart. You went with your
I,
heart on
I went with my heart. Who's judging this? Who
that.
I want to talk to those people at Rotten Tomatoes.
Talk to the critics at Rotten Tomatoes. Well, what do you why Pretty Woman is higher than 65. Why did they knock it down so much? Is it the hooker thing? Critics don't like.
So here's my question.
I don't know.
When did Rotten Tomatoes become a thing? Because maybe
Right?
it's just not people's, maybe whoever's writing for it, are they just
Right?
are they young? Do they not like
True. Yeah.
movies from
Do
the
they
90s?
not know the impact that a young Richard Gere and a Julia Roberts had in 1990?
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, there
know,
might be some recency bias on the Hunger Games too.
I think so. I think so. I don't think they don't remember the power of Julia Roberts. I
Hmm.
say who, I say when, I say who.
Right. No
No, they don't.
kissing on the lips.
No kissing on the lips. Her great Prince song in the bathtub.
Yeah. We were very enamored with hookers in those days too. Like we love a hooker with a heart of gold in those days. Yes.
Who doesn't?
Who
I
doesn't?
still do.
A lot of wigs. A lot of wigs going on.
I didn't
All
know
right.
about the wigs.
Oh, well, Julia Roberts wears the wig.
Oh, as when she's a prostitute, when she's
Yes.
prostituting.
Yeah.
Yes, she
And in
does
the
wear a
Hunger
wig.
Games, I think everybody had a wig on
Is that right?
in that movie. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Like
oh, the crazy, right.
yeah, the
What's his
crazy
name?
hair from
Yeah.
the city people.
Yep.
And
Okay.
Woody Harrelson has like a mohawk in it or something.
I always wondered with the Hunger Games, like, they're being watched all the time. Are they being watched like when they have to relieve themselves?
Good
You know,
question. Yes. That is, yeah. Like, what if you have to pee? What do you have to shit?
yeah, and
What's
you're
the,
digging a
yeah.
hole in the woods and then the cameras are watching you.
Oh, yeah. Good
Oh,
question. Because even in like Big Brother now, like we have now, like there's no cameras in bathrooms. Like we at least have a law against it. And if you're in the Hunger
yeah.
Games, that's where I would do all my planning is in the bathroom because I know no one's watching.
No bathroom.
Good
Yeah.
plot hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
Anyway.
deal with shitting? Yeah. All right. I think you got a hang of the game. Here's your next one.
Okay.
A rising star at a corporation agrees to work with the FBI to expose a price fixing conspiracy. However, the FBI gets a rude surprise when they learn their man on the inside is actually embezzling heavily from the firm.
Oh gosh.
You look perplexed on this one.
I am perplexed. Could you read the first sentence again?
A rising star at a corporation agrees to work with the FBI to expose a price fixing conspiracy.
A rising star at the FBI
A rising star at a corporation
corporation.
agrees to work with the FBI.
Okay, I failed this one. I don't know it.
I mean, this is Wigs theme. Does
Wig,
that help any?
wigs, wigs. Rising star at a corporation. Help the FBI.
But he's the one actually embezzling.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
All right. The movie is from 2009, The Informant.
Oh, I didn't see The Informant.
No, Matt Damon wears all the wigs.
Does he? I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch it.
I think it's a Soderbergh movie. I saw it. I remember it being pretty good. But Matt Damon wears a bunch of wigs in it.
I failed. I really wanted to have a perfect score.
All right, you get it back. Get it back. Here we go. A troubled divorced dad hatches a scheme to spend more time with his children. To do this, he poses as an old British nanny, But when the two
Mrs.
personas
Doubtfire.
from 1993, the movie is Mrs. Doubtfire. I knew you would get that
Doubtfire. And
one. Okay,
that
you're
was
back.
an excellent use of wigs.
Good wig on that one. I could see you using a wig like that in a future sketch. That was the movie to see in 1993 for a young 13-year-old Pat Ramirez. Was like,
Good
we
movie.
got to see Mrs. Doubtfire.
Great movie.
All right, your movies are The Informant versus Mrs. Doubtfire. Now, you went with your heart last time.
Mhm.
I think you got to think like a critic
Mm-hmm.
for this matchup. Because
So
if you think,
say,
yeah, like what's the more rewatchable movie? Oh, it's Mrs. Doubtfire. But does that mean it will have a higher score? Maybe yes, maybe not.
I'm gonna go with The Informant has the higher Rotten Tomatoes score.
The Informant, 80%. Mrs. Doubtfire, 70%.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
Get the hang of this game.
Critics are harsh on comedies, I will say. Just in general. Mrs. Doubtfire is 70. I mean, it's better than 70%.
70, it's way better than 70%.
Right. And The Informant, Soderbergh, hip writing, a couple points bump up for that one, I think, in the critics' mind.
These critics are very pretentious.
Right. You got to think like a pretentious critic. All right. Last round here, Mischa.
Okay.
Your movie description. Two hitmen with a penchant for philosophical discussions are interwoven in an ultra-hip, multi-strand crime storyline involving their boss, his actress, what? From 1994, the movie's Pulp Fiction. You got it.
Okay.
All right. Good uses of wigs all around in that movie.
Yeah.
I watched that movie recently. It's still weird.
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah, like maybe we burned out on all that type of dialogue and all those types of movies by 2010. But I was like, what's good about this movie that they can write bland dialogue? What is interesting about this? But maybe it was at the time.
I mean, I remember watching it and several times and thinking it was good because I was told it was good. So maybe I need to watch it again.
Me too. I was told it was good, so therefore I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Maybe that's the point. It's like, it's interesting. All right. Last description. A New York actor can no longer find work. After a soap opera audition goes poorly, the actor reinvents himself as an actress. What was supposed to be a short-term role, it turns into a long-term contract. To make matters worse, the actor has secretly fallen in love with his castmate.
I don't know this movie.
This is the one I thought you would get for sure.
Because of the dressing as the opposite sex.
and the wig. I think when you hear it, you'll go like, oh yeah, wig.
I just can't think of a movie where an actor. Okay, I don't have it.
The movie is from 1982, Tootsie.
Tootsie. Okay.
Tootsie. Dustin Hoffman turns into a lady. All right.
Wish I had it. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes time.
Final round. Pulp Fiction versus Tootsie. Now we have the real deal matchup here.
This one does seem challenging.
Yes. Yeah. Both very, very revered movies. What do you think? Take me through your thought
Tootsie
process.
Is 82.
1982, yes.
And Pulp Fiction?
94.
94. So really, these are both decades that a lot of these Rotten Tomatoes might not even enjoy.
Good point, right?
I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction.
Wow, you second guessed yourself there for a second. Okay,
you're gonna go with Pulp Fiction. It has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score.
Okay, I'm gonna lock you in on Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is 92%.
Aye.
Tootsie, 91%. You got it.
Wow. Okay.
By the slimmest of margins. Pretty good. What'd you miss? 2. You only missed 2.
I missed 2.
And those are tough movies. Those are tough movie descriptions.
Yeah, well, and Tootsie, was before my time on the planet, so I'll just use that as an excuse.
Well, you nailed it. You got it right by 1 Rotten Tomato percentage point. One critic. That was one critic that
Wow.
gave it the bump up.
I really got to see Tootsie now. I got to see Tootsie. I got to see The Informant.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy both movies. I haven't seen Tootsie in a long time, but I think you would enjoy them both. They're both good movies. 90, what was Tootsie? 91.
Wow. Wait, no, Tootsie. Oh, 91 on Rotten Tomatoes.
91%. Yeah.
High score. Yeah, especially considering Pretty Woman got 65, was it?
Right. What was up with that? Pretty Woman's funny.
Yeah.
She's on the street showing Richard Gere how to drive a standard car in that one part.
That's right.
Get it together, critics. Get it together. What's wrong with you? You know what, critics? You don't like fun.
I think that's true. I think that they don't like fun.
Somebody needs to go to the dump.
Somebody needs to go to the dump 100%.
And the river, too.
Yeah.
Mischa Paullin, thanks for talking to me. I hope I see you soon.
Yeah, I hope I see you soon too, Patrick. This was fun.
That's it. That's the episode. That is Running It Back, episode 70. Mischa Paullin. I want to thank her for joining me on the show. I want to thank you for listening to the show as well. Great interview. Give me a chance to get to know someone I actually know pretty well and yet learned a ton of stuff. If you don't know Mischa, go find her on YouTube. Go watch her videos. They're really funny and more is going up there all the time. I get a kick out of them. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, everyone, please give it a subscribe. Please give it a like. My Sunday Night Talk series is currently running. Not to mention, there are more Running Back interviews up on the channel and my stand-up clips as well. Thank you for listening, everyone. I will see you next time.